That's what it's done for me. Because I'm not an excuse-based person. This is pathetic. Disgusting. And this is only going to make more people go, oh, wait, we got to watch what we're doing here with marijuana if this is what we're going to do. By the way, full disclosure, I've always kind of been against the, insanity plea, too. Hey, I was insane. Okay, cool. All the more reason I want to lock your ass up. Cool. You're crazy? Yeah. The killing of the person was the first clue, dope. Like, I kind of, hey, Judge, I killed 13 people. That's a little nuts. You don't say. You don't say. Why are we out to protect this woman versus the family of her victim? They don't just not care about you. They actively hate you.
You thought Stansbury was a mess on air? Check out the show's Facebook page at Stansbury Show. Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the program. I'll get you in the bush by the end of this hour. We've been talking about this crazy lady out of California, 33 years old, stabbed her date 100 times. She's now been given 100 hours of community service. There will also be some probation. Apparently, the judge felt like she was in a weed-induced psychosis. And so, no jail time. She's going to do 100 hours of community service. And the judge is so smart that what her community service is educating other people on weed-induced psychosis, which I think is just going to tell somebody else, especially I'm going to guess younger people, so I get to kill people and I'm going to get off on it? Why is she an expert on weed-induced psychosis? I'll even asterisk that and whether or not it's a thing. But what makes her an expert in that? Because a judge let her off the hook? I think the better thing to do is to put her in jail and make people go see her there to warn them about some of the dangers maybe that are coming down the road. No? God, wouldn't that just be awful if we took a criminal and put her in jail? I was talking about, I don't really like insanity pleas either. I've never really understood. People reminding me, and this is true, you don't really get off on an insanity plea. You normally find yourself in a hospital versus a jail. Fair. What I'll say to that is, criminals know that. And you're way less likely to find yourself in violent situations. They're still there, but way less likely than Gen Pop. Which is why criminals hide behind it. Which is why lawyers try to use it. The defense attorney works for the client. The prosecutor works for us. That's why it's never like, hey, prosecutor for, it's the people versus. Because they're the ones that are supposed to be thinking about you and I. So is the judge. Day's long over. Bye. Bye, Law and Order. Bye. Isn't this a fun game we're playing? This is disgusting. Psychotic break over smoking marijuana? So obviously people are going to have strong opinions about this. And I get it. Right? Let me read you a few of these. As somebody had asked me about, you're talking about this murder and how this woman's getting off, but what about all the people who are locked up for selling weed when the government is now doing it? Okay, this is the sticky wicket when it comes to the marijuana, if I'm honest, because you still broke a law that was on the books. And so I understand punishment. Now that sounds pretty strict for a guy who uses the product, does it not? Yeah, it does a little, okay? So where I would meet you in the middle there is, do I believe that time spent in prison, some of these sentences are too high for what that infraction was? Yes. I don't know if I would just open all the doors today and be like, all right, well, we're selling weed now. Get out there, Tiger. Go get them. Like, I don't know about that. I think you'd have to do a little time release. Let's look at what was the weight, what was this, what was that. If you want to talk to me about people who are in jail for possession, I would be more likely to let them out than I am to think about trafficking people getting out. Now, not everybody in jail for marijuana, for selling marijuana was trafficking. That's fair. I once upon a time heard this from a buddy of mine who was talking about going to see a judge on some weed charges. This is years and years and years ago. But he had a couple of different kinds of weed in different baggies in his car. And he got pulled over. And what were they going to charge him with? With the intent to distribute. Because he had different strains of weed in different bags. And he used to hilariously say all the time, no. You got to do what you're telling me you're going to do, which is give me a jury of my peers. I need 12 weed smokers up there because they're going to know I ain't mixing this with this. And you weed smokers know, right? And he was right, kind of right about that, right? It's kind of one of those things. So not everybody who's in jail for selling marijuana was trafficking. I would agree with that. But you did still break a law, so I understand why people aren't like, just unlock the jail cells, let them out today, right? So back to the woman, 33 years old, again, had stabbed this guy 100 times after taking 2 hits off of this bong. It was his. So Logan brought this up. This came in off the text line, 330-450-7625. And Logan said, if she's telling the truth, what do you think he laced that weed with? However, I do think she's lying, right? Yeah, the lawyer told her what to say, and the lawyer gave her a good idea, and the lawyer, I guarantee you, told her, honey, you live in the right state now, baby. You live in the right state. They're going to feel bad for you, the criminal here. Man, did you luck out and commit murder in the right place? Welcome to it. And so he got her on that. It's not like she showed up and said this. I don't buy the weed psychosis thing. I have a lot of history with marijuana. I've only ever seen 2 people in my life throw up from smoking marijuana. That was out of a 6-foot bong, and we were in high school. We were literally standing on ladders to hit that thing. And we were in my buddy Billy's bedroom. And I saw my buddy Terry pulling that 6-foot tube, and his face got as milky white as that weed smoke. And I was like, I don't think homie's gonna be okay. And he just turned, vomited on the floor, passed out. That was it. He didn't spin around the room, grab a gun, shoot everybody. Stereotypes, not all of them fall out of the sky. So let's talk about stereotypes of marijuana. Puts you into the couch, makes you lazy, makes you watch the movies. I literally told a salesperson here yesterday, that's why I smoke marijuana. If I go home and turn on the TV and watch something, I'll be like, this is terrible! But if I smoke half a joint, I'm like, I'm gonna tell you, this is pretty good. Like, it kind of puts me in that, screw it. Just kind of sit here and watch this thing. That's why I like it. I can't tell you how many times I thought, I'm gonna go out later. I ain't going to no damn place. And put it out. Like, weed put you, Cat Williams told you 25 years ago. It put you in that state of effort. That's what it does. Now, it affects different people different ways. Fair enough. I will meet you there. But come on. Come on. You could get me way more on your side with I blacked out on the booze and I didn't know. I've told you this a million times. I have never, ever smoked so much weed where I woke up the next morning, had to call people I know and be like, yo, man, my bad. Them zigzags got away from your boy last night. Got a little loose. Sorry. Tequila's made me do that every time I've ever drank it. Weed's not the thing where you wake up in the morning and go, what in the hell happened last night? I can't even remember. Did I drive? Did you? Am I hungry or am I going to get sick? Marijuana, you wake up and you go, where the hell did that pipe fall off the bed at in the middle of the night last night? Like that's what happens. That's what happens. I don't buy weed-induced psychosis, and even if I did, it's still your actions. Because let's take it a step further, young lady. You willingly smoked that weed. So you have to accept anything that's coming down the road. We can make it about another drug. DMT. To sum it up quickly, smokable acid, essentially. But way better. So about 2 years ago, I had told my buddy I had never done DMT. Like, oh, I can get you some. Really? It's visuals, right? It's like acid and all that stuff. I said, I don't know, man. Hallucinogens, I'm getting kind of old, man. I don't know about that. So he gave me some. So when I used that the first time, you know, by the way, that was 2 years ago. I still have what's left over in my house 2 years later. You guys know, I'm not afraid of drugs. I like them, right? And that stuff took me to a place of like, I don't know, man. I don't know. That stuff takes your brain on a ride. So I was worried about what might have. As a matter of fact, when I went to go smoke the first bit of it, I was like, dude, if I take a knife out of this block and stab myself with it, I'm going to feel like an idiot. But I knew I was taking my brain to another dimension. that I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So I locked that door, and I did that all by your lonesome. Because I wanted to be sure that only I could be hurt if something should happen. Man, if you're thinking that hard about it, maybe you shouldn't have done it. I know. Why do you think I still have the rest of it? Because it did. It kind of scared me a little bit. So I don't buy psychosis. I don't buy these breaks. I don't buy any of this stuff. If you come home and somebody's actively murdering your family and you murder that person to stop that act or because of the emotion and this and that, I'm with you. Somebody heard, like, dude, when a dad goes to the courtroom and, like, the chomo who, like, touched his kids walking through the hallway and that guy pulls the gun out, I understand how that happens. I get it. That's a mental break I could buy. You hurt my kids, man. You hurt my children. You raped my wife. You shall pay. That I get. Like, I understand getting caught up in the I don't think we just let them off the hook, but I can understand the break of mental. I can't handle what I'm seeing. These are the only things in the world I care about, and they are in danger. Oh my God! And the action takes over you. I don't want to let you off the hook, but you could sell me on the dude. What did you think was going to happen? The guy came home. His children were laying dead in the living room. His wife was being raped. You didn't think that guy was going to shoot that dude? Of course he was. You would have shot his ass too, and I would have. You could get me on that, but we were watching Cheech and Chong, and next thing I know, I slit this idiot's throat. So give me 100 hours of community service. That judge should be yanked off his bench, and I mean yesterday.
Like a wake and bake with an easy bake oven. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. I'll rock the bank with you. Get $1,000 passed out. Maybe take tomorrow off. I think I would. I mean, someone just walked into the studio right now and was like, "Hey, Stansberry, here's $1,000." I'm probably sending an email like, "I feel cool coming on, boss man. I'm out. See you Monday, buddy." But I'm not allowed to keep it, so we'll rock the bank with you 9 a.m. this week. I think it was just this week, was it not? We were talking about a kicker from the Buffalo Bills. He had missed a kick, wide right, reminiscent of Scott Norwood, known affectionately by football fans as Scott Norwide. And Tyler Bass missed a kick. And so predictably, part of that fan base, Bills Mafia, went crazy. And there are some death threats now. So much so that he has deleted his social media profiles, right? Now, it should be pointed out that a lot of that other fan base came out and said, "No, you're not bullying our guy." And they raised a bunch of money and they're donating it to the causes that are close to Tyler, and that part's great, right? I reminded everybody there's no such thing as a classy version of any large group of people. There's going to be good people in there, classy ones, some scumbags hiding around in there too. That's what happens. People are awesome, person to person. In groups, not so much there. Mob mentality and that kind of thing can kind of start to take over, especially on social. So I was getting the back of Tyler, and I said, "Look, you've bought the ticket and everybody feels as if that gives them the right to say whatever they want." I say, no, it gives you the right to say just about everything you want. Let's stop short of threats. Let's stop short of bringing the wife into it, right? No ball! Stop talking ball! No ball! Stop talking ball! Like, if you have to go to the wife to talk about the athlete, you don't know ball, right? Don't talk ball. You don't know ball. I'm giving you social media phrases. Some of you are like, what the hell is he saying? Right? I get it. But if you got to go to the kids, or if you got to go to this, or you got to go to that, you're not trying to talk ball. You're not. You're trying to make somebody freak out. You're trolling is what you're doing. Now, I've said that as if it's an accusation, but too many people these days would be like, "You're right, that is what I'm doing." I get it. I thought the Jerky Boys were funny until I was 19 too. I get it. Oh my goodness. Right? Dude, trolling's not new. Those guys kind of kicked that whole thing off. I bring it up because now out of the NBA, where the fan is much closer to the athlete, much closer, especially if you got some money, you could sit court side. Luka Doncic, Dallas Maverick, right? Do I have that right? I may be wrong. He was ejected. Or no, I'm sorry, he ejected a fan, rather, who apparently had said, "You're looking tired. Hit the treadmill." So he points at the ref and then gives him the finger like, out, get him out, get him out. And this has become more and more popular where NBA guys can have people thrown out of games. So after the game, a reporter asks Luka about it. Says, hey, there was an issue with a fan. And Luka said, well, that's not the only thing the fan said to me. Then did not clarify further, at least not in the video I saw. Did not clarify further, and then told the reporter, you always say negative things to me. I knew it was going to be you who brought this up. I knew it was going to be you who tried to paint me in a bad light. Paraphrasing here a touch. So, another way to say what Luka just said is, the media is the enemy of the people. It's amazing to me how everybody in the country can say that. Except for one dude. Except for that one guy who's lying about it. Everybody else protecting themselves, protecting their brand, protecting this. But that one guy who talks about how bad that media is, he's lying about it. Or what happened, homie went out there, took all the hits in the chest so everybody else could be like, hey, you know what, these people kind of suck. By the way, you're hearing a lot about media layoffs right now, newspaper layoffs. I don't want to see anybody lose their job, obviously. But when every paper in the country is running the same headline, how many newspapers do we need? Like, that's just business 101. Somebody should have seen that. Hey, everybody tells us everything we write is nonsense. All of our hits are down. All of our advertising dollars are down. All the clicks are down. Everything is down. You want to keep going down this path and doing it? I mean, so it's like, come on. I mean, some of that stuff's crazy. But if all this guy said is, Luka, you're looking tired, get on the treadmill, that's in bounds. You're talking about athletic performance there. Boo, you suck, overrated, we're going to kick your ass, all good, all fine. I am perfectly fine with that. I hope your wife dies. I hope your mother gets AIDS. I hope all this stuff. I mean, people say stuff like this. To me, it's too far. It's too far. Now, it's tough when you're talking about a large group of people again, right? Because there are young people in that group of fans, there are old people, and not that young people are doing this and old people aren't, because plenty of old people are saying the wrong thing at games. But if all this fan said to Luka was, you need to work off some of that baby fat you got on your body still, Holmes, that's a fair criticism, because that's what everybody has been saying. This one feels to me like Luka got in his feels over the fact that the fan said something to him that he knows is a little true. Now, again, I don't know everything that the fan said, but if we're getting to the point where you're going to throw a fan out over that, that's too far. Are people under the impression that Clyde Drexler and Michael Jordan never dealt with fans saying awful things in their ears? Ask Michael Jordan what Spike Lee used to say on that side. We're talking to celebrity there. Can't be in business with a guy who might say things like that. Can't be doing it. Doesn't align with our morals. Can't do it. Ask Jordan what Spike used to say. It was trash talk then, baby. Now all of a sudden we're throwing people. Now, if threats, this and that, I can get it. But if you're just telling a guy to run off the baby fat on his body, I'm sorry, Luka, that's you being soft. And I mean soft. Let's get you in the bush. That show's in August. Jacobs Pavilion. Take caller 15 right now. 330-450-7625. Toll free at 800-243-7625 on those Bush tickets. I'll rock the bank with you. Next on Rock 106.9.
Kind of funny you can listen to him on your smart speaker.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
The Stansberry Show.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
On Rock 1069.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. $1,000 keyword. Grab the second. Here at 10. All right, I have flipped the coin for about 2 days, maybe even not long, about whether or not we were going to get into this. And then last night, I just couldn't avoid it anywhere online, and I said, okay, it's reached critical mass. I have to talk about this. And some things I see, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to talk about that. And then other things are like, oh, I probably should talk about that. This feels more like one of those. Barbie. Now, I'm not the target audience for Barbie. Never was. I was the target for G.I. Joe. I'm sure that will be seen as unpopular and intolerant. And did he just dog whistle a touch there? I think he may have. That will kind of happen, I'm sure. But I was never the target for this. And so it comes out in the theater, and it's Barbie or Oppenheimer. And I've told you before, I like history. My dad liked history. His dad liked history. It's just kind of been passed down the line. Favorite movies ever is a movie called 13 Days, which was about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Eat for stuff like that. I love movies like that. Oh, I like a good action flick occasionally too. I'm not pretentious or anything. But I went and saw Oppenheimer, which I liked. Could have been a tad shorter Nolan, but I did like it. But it was, which one of these are you going to go see? And there was a time where I was like, you know what, this Barbie thing's kind of hot. And I thought to myself, go see this movie for the social commentary alone. You can go in there, kind of kill a break with like, all right, so I went yesterday, here's what I saw, here's what I think. And it just one day turned into two and I just didn't do it. And then it had gotten past the point where it's like, well, there's really, I mean, if the only reason you're going to watch this is so you can discuss it, it's kind of past that point now. So why waste your time on something you don't think you're going to enjoy a whole lot? Yes, I like looking at Margot Robbie. We talked about that earlier this morning on the program. That lady is easy to look at. I see her and I'm like, take me to the planet where they all look like that, man. I'm a huge fan. Like her. It's not going to be enough to make me really like, oh, I really like this Barbie. So it's Oscars. Nomination. Apparently, Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig, that's the director, I believe, have been snubbed in the nomination issues. Now, I said snubbed. Were they, or had they just not been nominated? Ryan Gosling got nominated for playing Ken, and the person who played Barbie didn't. And wouldn't you know it, that's the plot of the whole movie. And so everybody thinks they got Hollywood and Ryan Gosling and the Oscars in a gotcha moment. And I'm not sure you have. Why would they go out of their way to nominate Ryan to create more of this controversy? Well, the easy answer there would be what? They're worried nobody's going to get smacked on the stage, so create a little, like, whodunit before we get there? All right, maybe. I don't know if that's going to drive rating, but I could understand why people would think that. Okay, fair enough. But really, beyond that, like, why we're nominating Ryan and not? This is one of those things. Women are allowed to go see Magic Mike and not care about the product and just want to look at the pretty person. If a man just wants to look at Margot Robbie, he is sexist. This is kind of one of those things, and this is kind of what I think this is coming into this situation here. Because none of those women back in the day were like, Magic Mike, Oscars, do it. No. Made you a little more, get a little hot, time to go home and put it on my fat husband. That's what that movie was for. And isn't that how a lot of people are going to look at Margot Robbie and Barbie? It's like, oh, well, dude, they picked a hot-ass Barbie. Isn't that it? Would Ryan Gosling not be seen as a better actor than Margot Robbie? Isn't it possible he does have better acting chops than she does? Possible. I think a lot of people, women included, would tell you yes. Now you know why that is, don't you? Because how we look at somebody will shade whether or not we think how talented they are. So I think a lot of women who maybe not even like Ryan Gosling acting as much as they think they do are like, oh, I'm kind of sexy, put him in stuff. I'll watch him. It's not pretend looks don't come into this stuff because we know that they do. But why would they go out of their way here? This feels to me like we have got to a place where entitlement has crept into these things. We spent the last 10 years talking about how the Oscars need to be more diverse and we're going to present more women, and you must now, you have to include at least this many people of this and this many women and this many of this to even be considered for the award. Makes it, I mean, honestly ridiculous. So now because we've done that, when two women don't get nominated and or win, it's automatically baked in that and I think this actually proves that Hollywood's getting better, not worse. In 1986, I'm 10. Okay? Don't even care about the movies that America's watching. I want to call it the A&E crowd because back then A&E was Masterpiece Theater and not Storage Wars. But so I did tough one. Fast forward, and isn't it a benefit of Hollywood, of rotating and at least starting to acknowledge the movies that you've seen? Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. Teresa's going to rock the bank with you at 10. Second $1,000 keyword of the day. Now, we have a ton of those. That's all day and day we do that. Just letting you know when you can get the second one. 10 a.m. Sorry, I was debating two things in my mind. All right, you know what? Let's do it. So the other day, I was talking about the political structure. And I had said, I pulled this up in the podcast last night. That's how I know. Oh, they'll all get out there with that fake spray tan and start telling them lies. And of course, because people don't fully listen always, sometimes they're halfway listening, getting the kids in and out of the car, whatever it should be, people felt like I was taking a swipe at the former president. About politicians in general, and they had my entire life been known to lean into the spray tan, you know, because of the visual of being on television. And the guy was like, "You just throw Trump underneath the bus twice in that segment." And I came back on the air and I said, "Well, I didn't, but so what if I did?" I feel like the man has earned some criticism. He ain't perfect. He ain't God. And people get really upset when you mess with him. You know? I find this interesting. Because this morning, I believe I said something in defense of him. And it was in defense of him this time. We were talking about Luka Doncic, NBA player, who got into a little bit of a tiff with a reporter after the game. And he tells the reporter, "Oh, I knew you were going to try to make this drama. You always cover me wrong, and you always say these awful things about me." And I said, "Oh, athletes can tell the media they're the enemy of the people, huh? Anybody can." Notice when, and all of a sudden we got a little bit of a problem. You guys know I'm in the middle. But what I'm saying is true. This is what I find interesting. Why were you here today? Because nobody likes me? Got it. I got it. Yeah, 25-year career history here, 10 plus years. Well, about. So I just don't understand where it's like, when I don't trash the guy and you think I did, I'm the biggest dummy alive. But when I defend him, all of a sudden, you're quiet. Why is that? Why is that? I don't know, I was just kind of thinking about that one a little bit. People get so up in their feels about that dude, man. The people that hate him, the people that like him, everybody. I mean, he just moves. Like, all right, I'll give you another example. So the repository was talking about his big wins in the primaries. And I wanted to comment on their post. But I knew, I was like, well, not everybody who reads this listens to the show every morning. Not everybody knows who I am. So make sure you word this in a way where it doesn't sound like you're in support of one or the other people, because I hate them both. And I want two new choices. I know I'm not going to get it, but that's what I would prefer. So I said in there, for better or worse, he is the Republican Party. There is no number two. And sure enough, some people took some issue with that even, where it was like, I'm literally saying nobody else on that side can come close to this guy's charisma.